welcome to Know Your Universe. What is Marvel Now? This video is kind of a continuation from the previous video which explained what the New 52 was. The reason is because the New 52 came out first and the original Marvel Now run was in response to the success of the New 52. Now a lot of what I've stated at the start of the other video applies here also, and that being the reasons for a reboot. Comic books are great, but their storylines get confusing as all hell, especially when you have some comic books climbing up to crazy numbers like issue 700. Anyone who is brand new into comics isn't going to jump into some random issue number that high, especially if they don't understand the way comic book arcs work. That would be like kids in 15 years trying to watch episode 8 of Star Wars and wondering why they're confused. Well, because of this, DC decided to have a crisis every so many years and reboot the entire universe. And the most recent version of this, and probably one of the most successful, was the New 52. Well, all of those brand new number ones did wonders for DC sales and helped them get over Marvel for the first time in a long time. Well, Marvel doesn't like losing to DC, even if it's temporarily. They also don't like to do an outright copy of DC right behind DC does something. So instead of rebooting the universe, they created Marvel Now. Marvel decided that they would catch the wildfire of number ones, but without rebooting the universe. Instead, they chose to reboot their current lines. Basically, following the Avengers vs. X-Men Universe event, all the teams were being shuffled around. Marvel used this as an excuse to go ahead and renumber everything as a number one with a new creative team. We had things like the Uncanny Avengers, All New X-Men, and the New Avengers. And they also chose to reboot a lot of the storylines everyone is following, with new things like Savage Wolverine. It was the same Wolverine that we all know, but now it was a number one, basically telling all newcomers to comics, hey, this is the start of a new storyline. Get it now if you want to fully understand it. Well, this was good and this was bad. The universe didn't reboot, making all that knowledge that you gained by following along still viable. Wolverine's origin was the same exact one that we all knew, but you just knew a good starting point for a new story. This, in my opinion, was better than a total universe reboot like DC. Like I said, with a total universe reboot, they didn't tell us what remained, and without knowing what remained, we were just left guessing what was still canon. But with Savage Wolverine number one, I know the origin is still valid, and I know the X-Men stories are still valid. So I can just get going right now with the new story, and if I have been reading all of the old stuff, I haven't been left in the dust. But this also created two problems for new people. All of those old stories are still valid, so you still kind of needed to know what happened back then to fully understand what's happening now. And the second problem that happened was it sold. And oh my god, did it sell. Everyone assumed it was because we had new number ones, and because of that, we now get a ton of new number ones every few months. Now, Marvel Now seems to be about new creative teams, and they bring in a new team to get a 12-issue story arc, and they give us a new number one. We have Magneto number one, Moon Knight number one, Cyclops number one, Star-Lord number one. You name the character, and they probably got a solo series just to shout out the number one all over again. So, no universe reboot, but if you want to get into a Marvel comic book now, just go grab a new number one and enjoy, which is what I like about it. It makes it really easy for me to help my friends get into comic books. So, basically, Marvel Now is just a really simplified version of what DC did, and one that a lot of us are enjoying more than the complete reboot that DC did. But at the same time, I still hate it, because it's making me go broke. Every week I go pick up my normal pickups, and oh my god, 5 new number ones. Not even joking, I went over there to get my normal load of comic books, and the comic book store owner handed me 3 new number ones. One for Star-Lord, one for Rocket Raccoon, and one for Groot. And I was like, oh my god, this is so much money. And this whole new trend of using number ones as a signal that this is a new storyline doesn't look like it's going anywhere. But that's it. Marvel Now is just a much easier way to explain the DC reboot method. And on that note, I'm off to go work on the Groot video. So thank you and have a good night. So thank you, and I'll see you guys next time right here at Comicstorian.